It's the content of that material that's more important than the technique behind it.
And what the society likes to create is a bunch of droids and robots. Everybody is the same, but yet the society is not willing to share anything with anybody. It's all give and take. It's all what title you can add to your name, what degree you can add to your name, how much money you can add to your pocket. And if you have a strong foundation in who you are, and you know who you are and where you come from, then you are capable of sharing with other people. And that's what it's all about.
Do we know who we are? Absolutely. Do we honor who we are? Yes. Do we live in an urban setting? Yes. But do we forget where we come from? No, because where we come from is with us always. We are stepping forward on behalf of our elders, and our elders are happy that we are able to halt this process of disillusionment and halt this process of not believing in who we are.
We are here to tell our stories, and that's what it's all about. No matter what happens, we're here to tell our stories.
I got busted in 1983 for criminal sale of a controlled substance in the first degree and criminal possession of a controlled substance in the first degree, and was sentenced by New York State to 16 years to life in prison. Sitting in a cell for 16 years is not a very easy thing to do. And coming out of it a whole person is even a harder thing. It took a great deal of work on my part, a great deal of effort, where I had to do something that was totally unpopular in the prison system, and that's get an education. And I became a legal researcher with the Department of Corrections and certified by them very early in my bid or time sentenced. So I became very proficient with using their bureaucratic mechanism, policy and procedures, and then the law, the courts. People are under the misconception that the legal system is about justice. There is no case law that defines the concept of justice. The legal system is a system of laws that changes the whims and fancies of politics and demands that the members of society conform to them, no matter what they are, no matter if they're unjust, etc. Prohibition, as an example, the prohibition of drinking, then also now that we can drink. These were political acts that shaped and formulated what is acceptable behavior. Not justice, not the right thing. The right thing would be to ban alcohol. But it's unacceptable to society at large, to the politicians as a result. When I went in 83, the New York State prison system was like 25,000 inmates for the entire state. I think there was only like 15 prisons. By the time I left, they have something like 63 prisons. They have a population of, 70,000, 72,000. I mean, it's gotten huge. It's this big monolith of bureaucracy that supports most of the upstate communities where industry left. And it's a political plum for the politicians in upstate New York to award their jurisdictions or their constituencies with. Where I am today and the way that I perceive things and the positive manner in which I'm doing things in my life are the direct result of all of the negative stuff that I have done, of all of the punishment that I had to suffer. Although I have a very biting and sarcastic humor in dealing with people, ultimately I respect them. Ultimately, I think more importantly at this juncture is I respect myself. That's why I don't get high. That's why I don't use drugs. That's why I believe in myself, and more importantly, why I love myself enough to believe in myself. From that basis now, I have to directly attribute that to believing in the great law of the Iroquois Confederacy.
Good evening. We are gathered here today to do the story of Babar, but from a Native American perspective.
The reason we originally did Babar was we wanted to show the elders that we, as the new generation of Native Americans, have taken the concept of music and culture and have expanded it beyond just the traditional Native American music. That we believe that the very fact that we're Indian, that anything that we do, whether it's classical, whether it's pop, rock, we bring with us our culture, our experiences, our life, and make whatever we doing inherently Native American. So it's not at odds then to look at Babar, as we've just done it, as being a Native American production. I mean, there are similarities, with regard to the acting out of the narration. I mean, when you look at the traditional dancing of Native Americans, they were always telling a story with the movements of their body. Hence the movement of Babar during the beautiful piano playing by Tim Hayes. It's just an extension of what we've traditionally done anyway. He learns the ways of the white man, the ways of the people in the town. And when he returns to his people after being absent for 2 years, they immediately want to elect him chief or elect him king, because he knows everything, because he's been with the people in the town. I mean, even the elders of the elephants themselves see that the knowledge in town is much greater than their own. It's propagating colonialism.
That I shall make you a general.
And you look at the innocence of the elephant itself. I mean, you see the correlation between the innocence of the First Nations of Africa, where the story was actually set. That's why we make so much fun about it, because we try to make it satirical and try to bring out the, how absurd it is of what they're trying to do, even though it's a very cute story and many of us grew up with it. And if we can do that in telling a story in a traditional Native way, by making it ours, well, I think it works, and we've had a great fun doing it. We've been subjected to so many outside influences for so long that it has changed some of the even traditional values of our culture in a detrimental way. The relationship of Native Americans is that before you go and hunt a deer, you do ceremony. After you've actually achieved your goal, then you do ceremony giving thanks for the deer following its original instructions and for taking it from this world, etc. And there's prescribed, I don't want to call them ritual, but more ceremonies for doing all of this because of the relationship and the balance that Indians perceive between them and everything that surrounds them. That relationship goes against the Judeo-Catholic concept insofar as that everything is related in terms of being brothers or sisters. And it's of an equality that is unheard of in Judeo-Christian belief. I mean, because if you look at Genesis, Genesis specifically identifies the relationship of man to all of creation. And he's lorded as king, as the dominant figure, as opposed to being one with. And that distinction, I think, is where you get the worst theological effects when you introduce Christianity to Native American communities. Too often we have shared knowledge with other cultures, and they have ultimately tried to use that to denigrate us, to oppress us, and to, basically manipulate us. Or they latch on to something that they think works. And I think this is a very telling testament for Native American beliefs, that they look at us and they say, oh, well, shit, this works. I want to be part of it. And my view is, well, that's fine and dandy, but go be part of it someplace else. Don't come to my people to do it, because we have enough of our own problems. And people who have a tendency to adopt something have a tendency to become, or to try to become more Indian than the Indians and become more knowledgeable because of their newfound knowledge. And we really don't need to deal with that crap. We're dealing with our own problems. Let us deal with them. We don't want any do-gooders descending on our reservation to give us all these solutions and ideas. That's why we're training our own. That's why tribal colleges are developing around the country, so that we can take hold of our own future, our own resources, and strive to self-determination. Strive to self-sufficiency, where we can function and survive as nations within a nation without having to rely on anybody else.
I will not be killed again. Not at this time, not in this place, nor in this state of mind. I will not, must not be killed again. It would not be just, not be an acceptable pose for me to stand quietly, unheeding, unscreaming, unfeeling my oppressor's thrust. Like some extinct dinosaur, our lineage assaulted by the coveter's pen, our ancestry brought to grief and bloodless end. Resistant in my warrior stance, I will not be killed again, not by gun, sword, or lance, nor paper and pen power, or lack of number certification, not by published or spoken indoctrination, or the skin color views held by dullards and fools. I will not be killed again, not by these, but will succumb, mindful that they who desecrated Mother Earth must breathe the foul air that ravaged my lungs and consume the putrid water that I drink, canceling a future for all, unless they are willing to hear our knowledge from the past, when our elders gently tended the earth and ate of the root of the healing grass, when we were all many and so alive.